Let's break it down on the end of a great win for Liverpool at Anfield, keeping them in a title race, keeping them within touching distance of Arsenal, and taking them before the City game above Man City. Plenty to unpack in this game. Were Liverpool lucky? Were Fulham unlucky? And overall, who deserved more out of this game? If you even say that in the modern age. Welcome back to the Laurence McKenna channel. It is good to have you guys. We're talking about, well, probably one of the weirdest games of football, and I'm saying that as a Liverpool fan that I've watched in quite some time. Both teams set out quite simply. You know, that's Liverpool. Honestly, apart from thinking this and possibly this position, and at a push, Hamburg. That's a very strong side, and it's a side that should definitely be beating Fulham. But when you put Marco Silva and this Fulham team, especially interesting, Raul Jimenez, Iwobi, Pereira, Harry Wilson. In fact, thought Reid was all right, but there's a lot going on there as well. Paulinho, they actually had a pretty decent side, and they actually had a pretty decent game in this game. So there are a lot of good performances. I think a lot of the time Fulham this season have been squashed by the opposition. Realistically, that probably should have happened with Liverpool today, but ultimately, I think Liverpool kind of let Fulham back into the game. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about the first big moment in the game. This guy. Or he is a big moment right now. Switch to the Preds. The Preds look awesome. He's scoring great goals. Obviously, it's not only the boots, but that as a free kick, this as a celebration, that as a celebration. Who's he doing that with? Who's he sharing the eye contact with? That's what I want to know. He knows. And then it's a great celebration. We're kind of like, well, we love it because we know he's not shushing us, but who is he shushing? Do you know what I mean? Is it me? I don't think I was ever that critical of him. I was definitely critical of other aspects of the game, but I was definitely never critical. Anyway, every pundit at the moment who has at some point criticised Trent is thinking, is he shushing me? Anyway, the point being, incredible free kick. Didn't actually get credited to him in the end because it came off the back of Bernd Leno. But you win some, you lose some. You've got to be in the right place to be lucky. And I actually thought it was an incredible strike in the first place, and it is special. The fact that he can even get it into that position, the fact that he meant to bounce it off the goalkeeper's back like that is incredible. Like, that's better than a goal, isn't it? Like, what's better than forcing the opposition to put it in their own net? What's more powerful than going, put it in your own net, mate? Do you know what I mean? And he forced it. Anyway, the point being, a lot of people have been out in recent weeks in defense of Alexander-Arnold, when actually, I don't think all that many people have been all that critical of Trent Alexander-Arnold recently. Watch for the people who are saying things like, hey, all those people who criticise Trent, right? He's quality. Because those are the people who have been slagging him off. You want to be careful of those people. Morons, as I call them. You want to be careful of those people. You want to be careful. There are some interesting shape issues with Liverpool at the moment, though, or interesting shape balances that I think Liverpool need to work out. And we should talk about that. This is Trent in midfield, right here, obviously. And he's definitely in midfield, though he is very often in this kind of right area. I think he's covering a lot of that, and he's covering a lot of that. Very rarely is he covering that enough at the moment, though. And it's pulling Matip quite out of position. It's not really allowing Verge to do what he wanted to do in this game. And it's quite unusual, actually. Very often on these average... by the way, some people ask me, why do you do average positions? Average positions mean nothing. Purely because, right, this is better to show you than this. Imagine if I showed you that and then went, there you go. That, you get so much of a better idea of where the Liverpool players were, what the roles were, how they interchanged, all these kind of things. I'll show you some heat maps in a second. But a lot of people say to me, like, oh, you only use X, and that's why the analysis is off. The analysis isn't off, mate. But the point at the same time is, you can see the difference in the average positions in this game. Virgil van Dijk is normally not that deep, but normally, if you were to draw a line between the two of them, it would intersect the top of his and the bottom of his. On this, doesn't even do that. Which shows how progressed Virgil van Dijk was allowed to be in this game. Which shows the pressure and the side that Fulham were trying to pressure, which indeed was, this side, right? Fulham were trying to run everything down here at one point. I know that there's arguments of, well, Harry Wilson, X, Y, Z. They were trying to pull Liverpool over. They were trying to create the space in between Matip and Virgil van Dijk, which a lot of teams do, which, by the way, isn't Trent's fault. If you're analysing that, you're analysing it wrong. And basically, that's how they got their first goal. Harry Wilson, credit to you, mate. I think you've left Liverpool. There's a lot of people who leave Liverpool and go on to bomb in their career. They don't manage to get their head right. They don't manage to work out why it was that Liverpool never had them. They start to regret poor decisions. They even just start to regret that they maybe felt they weren't good enough. You know, you can't always blame people for being like not a Liverpool player. And Harry Wilson was definitely one of those. He's quality for Wales and he's great quality for Fulham. And we always knew that there was a Premier League standard player in there, but we just didn't know where he fit into which side. And I love that he's found a home in Fulham. Lovely crowd, lovely fans, homely club, all these kind of things. Let's celebrate the fact that someone who came through the Liverpool Academy was so beloved, was someone who we would have loved to make work, but just had Mo Salah ahead of him, had Mane ahead of him, had Firmino ahead of him, has gone away and done something special and come back to Anfield and scored. In a game where we win it, it's easy to say that. But at the same time, I think it showed, what I was grateful for was Harry showing us where we were weak. That's what he was trying to do. And one of those weaknesses today was in this set of relationships. Probably that set of relationship, but mainly this triangle of hell that we had in this game. It was clear that it was very clear they were targeting the right-hand side, but it was also very clear that Kelleher wasn't having the best of days, and that between Matip and Van Dijk, they weren't really giving him the protection that he needed. You could see for a couple of the goals that, Tsimikas got caught under the ball, I think for the third goal for Fulham, which was obviously the goal that took them ahead at Anfield, in a game where Liverpool had their foot on the ball, had control of the game, really should have been a lot more solid and weren't. And I don't think it's necessarily that, Matip and Van Dijk don't want to support Kelleher. I just think it's more, a lot of the things that happened today did feel unfortunate on his part. There were a couple of times where he sort of froze or wasn't quite in the right position, especially for the third goal. And, you don't want to pick out one person, but I think very often, you have to analyse the mistakes in order for those people to get better. I think Kelleher is a quality goalkeeper. I think there's a reason he's Liverpool's number 2. I think it's 1 part distribution, 2 parts the fact that he's a great young learner who's still growing as a goalkeeper and is going to have a long way to go. There have been a lot of goalkeepers who've had bad games for Liverpool and they've gone on to have great careers. That's not me saying that therefore I think he'll be Alisson's, understudy forever, or that I think he's going to take over from Alisson within the next year. All I'm saying is I think as a number 2 goalkeeper, you're going to have days like this. Going out to training after this, lads. This is the long sleeve version. Not in the stores. Was never in the stores. Anyway. We kind of got away with it because in the first half, 2 absolutely quality goals. When I say absolutely, come on, give me a break. Absolutely quality goals. This was a celebration. If you can do duck face in a celebration afterwards, where it's sort of like, if that's your celebration, you know what I mean? If that's your celebration after a goal, you know it's a good goal. And it was a strike. It wasn't like, I'm more satisfied by like a Liverpool move. But if we're going to pay tributes to Steven Gerrard and other great Liverpool players, Steven Gerrard being probably the greatest player ever to strike the ball from distance, apart from Xabi Alonso, but those two can share their accolade for different reasons, but probably Steven Gerrard, then these were great goals for that. I had a debate the other day, by the way, with a mate about where Trent Alexander-Arnold would be when he finishes his career. Whether he would have had a better career than David Beckham. Difficult to do that because David Beckham won a lot of titles. But say that one of the 115 charges or 5 of the 115 charges or whatever it is we found to be real or whatever, and a Premier League or 2 changes hands. I'm just saying, it's a long way to go in that Trent career. David Beckham, though, one of the all-time greats, one of the all-time great Predator wearers. But yeah, back to the McAllister goal. Amazing strike, took it really well. Possibly took a little bit of pressure off him in this game and possibly made Liverpool feel that they were in more control than they actually were. 2 incredible world-class strikes, but I actually think that Fulham looked like quite progressed, quite evenly spaced, and Paulinho was getting some decent touches here. I also thought that on multiple occasions, especially if you go back to their starting 11, you see the quality that they're going to be able to impact the midfield. But Pereira actually had a pretty bad game. He kept putting his foot in. I think he looked frustrated. I think he looked annoyed. It was kind of weird. It was a bit of a weird one in the first place. But these 2 were great in midfield, I thought. And I thought they made Liverpool's life really hard, trying to get through that midfield. It forced Liverpool wide quite a lot. meant that Liverpool had spread that front three out. Tsimikas actually, I thought, had a really good game in this one as well. A couple of people criticised me on my last video for saying I didn't think Tsimikas had the best of games. I thought he did, but I think I still feel like Liverpool haven't quite got it right down that side. And that with the right support, which possibly is Andy Robertson, possibly someone else, you're going to get more out of Diaz. You're going to get more out of a because at the moment there's a wonderful combination of plays between these guys. And there are nice combinations between these guys. And I think they have moments, but a lot of them get caught on the ball individually because I feel the spacing isn't quite right. There's obviously, there's probably going to be a Liverpool coach that could watch this video and go, well, here's why that doesn't happen. Liverpool have got quality throughout the team. It's not saying that Tsimikas is bad, but it's to say I think there are times where he doesn't look as at home in that Liverpool side, or there's times where he doesn't quite work out, and you go, okay, how are we going to solve this? How do you solve that problem? Let's talk a little bit about pace, how Liverpool try to exploit the pace in behind. Look how high Mo Salah's main areas are. That's wide, that's high. Do you know why that is? And if we go back to this average positions, it's genuinely the relationship that he has with Darwin Núñez at this point. Darwin will get the ball, look for Salah. Salah, very often last season, would have been a lot more hot out here, a lot less hot in here. Now he's a lot more hot in here and a lot less hot out here. Mainly you've got two people who are willing to overlap or take up some of that space. And you've also got the fact that with someone like Matip who's willing to come over, that forces Salah to kind of rotate around a little bit more, get interchanging with Darwin Núñez a little bit more, possibly just mixing it up a little bit and putting a bit more pressure on that back line. You see the same with Darwizzi. Don't say Darwizzi again. You see the same with Darwin Núñez. Look, like he's all the way along that front line. I love that he's receiving the ball there and trying to combine. I loved a couple of his defensive actions. I think this area and this area, he got back and just stuck a little foot in. This one, I think, was also just a really good touch. I love that when he loses the ball, he's harrying to get it back. Seems like Liverpool, there are times where it's like they're hunting in packs, but there are also times where there are certain trigger areas almost that people go into and they go, press that. It's not even necessarily one player now, it's more like trigger areas for Liverpool. And they switch it up game for game. It seems like they feel more comfortable in certain pressing patterns than others. But when Darwin gets it, boy, is he looking for Salah out there. And it's so nice to watch. It was interesting today because Liverpool were trying to play this ball between these two a lot. Or between these two, and get either Salah or Núñez. So if Salah got it here, he'd drive here and put the ball there. And if Darwin got it there, he'd drive here and put the ball there. And there were a couple of times where you saw Liverpool trying to exploit it. It didn't quite come off because the Fulham player got in the way. But you could see Liverpool were just really enjoying their movement and formations here. Darwin Núñez playing a brand new haircut. Relatively brand new. I'm pretty sure I've seen him plait it before. All I'm saying is, a lot of people say to me, why have you got this stupid hair? Why are you growing out your stupid hair? First of all, I'm growing it as long as I can now because ultimately I'm going to try and raise money at the end of the year to get the hair shaved off and make that into a wig for people with cancer. So, if I look stupid, it's not out of vanity. I don't think I look good all the time, but I do think I look good in some of these photos. There's a picture of me with my daughter. Obviously, I've blurred her face out. Someone plaited my hair last night. I'm just saying. Is it coincidence that I go to a private party last night? I'm dancing to some Albanian music here, so don't make fun of me. In comes Darwin Núñez the next day with basically the same hair. No, it is total coincidence. Both of them missed a lot of chances in this game, and it should have been like 7-3, 7-4 to Liverpool, 7-5 possibly to Liverpool, and it shows some of their vulnerabilities with this team, right? They were able to get right into this area was so open for Liverpool, and that's not necessarily Trent's fault. Trent's being told to push up the field. It's these guys who are coming in to fill in for Trent in that area, and this is why this sequence in the game is so important, right? Klopp changes things up, brings on Cody Gakpo. I'm a big fan of Cody Gakpo, what he does in that midfield. Brings on Joe Gomez, big fan of what Joe Gomez does. Brings on, a couple of minutes later, Joel Matip and Konate switch on and off. Very similar roles in this, but I'd imagine they wouldn't have wanted to make that substitution. You probably want to get a sub one centre-back all the way through. Doesn't really matter at this point, kind of irrelevant. Szoboszlai's control in this game is through being all over the field, filling in for Trent in this area, see, that area, there's just so many different areas that you can say Szoboszlai is brilliant. Yes, he was very good at driving in this area. Yes, he's very good at hooking up with Salah in that area. This is why he's so brilliant, right? But as soon as we took Szoboszlai off, which we did for Cody Gakpo, and we also took McAllister off as well, who fought for Joe Gomez, which kind of vacated the midfield a little bit. I put this, this is Liverpool with the substitutions, right? It completely changed Liverpool's shape. They've got like the 4 up front here with Cody Gakpo, and then they've got the 4, and then they've got that 2. First of all, these 2, this is a whole game average positions for Virgil, but this is a very brief average positions for Konate. My point is, Virgil van Dijk probably was a little bit too progressed in this game, and they needed a little bit more coverage from someone like Wataru Endo, which is what they got in that back line there, right? Especially around Konate, but also in this area where you see someone like Tsimikas pushing on. Wataru Endo is a brilliant reader of the game, when he can push forward, when he can push back. But what he's particularly been good at, and what Liverpool have particularly been good at in the last few games, is when they know that they want that control and they can basically go all out and try and get that control, they'll bring on this guy. This guy plays in combination. Can I do that? Drake did. With Darwin Núñez, right? So he plays up front and basically makes a little 3 there, which first of all makes a lot more space for Diaz, but he kind of drops a little bit deeper and he kind of overlaps, right? There. And what it does, right, is it makes lots of space in the key areas that I've highlighted at the start of the season, areas 17 and 18 on the tactics map, there and there. Guess where Liverpool scored both their goals from? Exactly. So Liverpool score their goals from this area because they're bringing on someone like Cody Gakpo, who then what they do is drive into these areas and push that line back as far as they can. As a front 4, Liverpool just go, right, we're going to bomb forward. And actually, it can be more like a front 3 because what it allows Salah to do is just sit a little bit deeper. Hence why there are some good assists from Mo Salah and Tsimikas. 2 of the guys who, when this front 3 here push forward, sit about here and put the ball in there and there, right? For these guys who are running on from here and here. The opposition manager will have already known this, so don't worry about it. We're pointing out some pretty obvious tactics at this point. But Liverpool push and push on that back line. And what they do is push Fulham back and back and back and back. And it pushes Fulham deeper and deeper. You'll remember before, come out, go back in. This is before substitutions. This is after substitutions, right? Fulham clearly were trying to defend something at this point, right? And they were clearly still trying to exploit Liverpool in certain areas. I mean, look how progressed that is down the field, right? This is feeling, weirdly, like a lot deeper. I know it's not all that different to what we see here, right? In fact, it's exactly the same. But the point is, this back line here will have been way, way deeper for this Liverpool team, for this Fulham side, the more that Liverpool got control in this game. I took this screenshot at the end. I wish I'd taken one at half time and been able to show what the combination looked like. Point being, it pushes it back, Wataru Endo gets a goal. Front 4, there you go. Pushes it back, Trent gets a goal. An incredible captain's goal, by the way. You beauty, Trent. Absolutely fantastic. What a celebration, going wild. To score in front of the Kop like that must feel incredible. But it's in no small part thanks to Cody Gakpo. Someone who gets into this area, allows him to overlap, allows him. They all interchange in these different positions. You see him here, you see him here. They're all trying to get the touch, put it off, and then keep pushing. It's a game of attrition like that, right? And it won the game for Liverpool. The moves that Klopp made. So when he brings on Endo and everyone goes, that's a defensive midfielder. Why are you defending with him? Why are we being defensive? He's not being defensive in that way. He's shifting the shape. He's shifting the emphasis within the side that has been fixed for such a long time within the game. I know Liverpool are very interchangeable, but if you can shift the pace, if someone like Endo can come on and shift the pace, be all over the place, do something like that, take the emphasis off, say, a Szoboszlai who goes off and onto an Endo who comes on, or whoever it is who comes on in the midfield. Why do you think they brought Endo on and not a Curtis Jones? Was it possibly because we didn't have Curtis Jones on the substitutions bench? I can look, I can see. We did have Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott on the subs bench. This was a clear decision made by Klopp to exploit that space. I should have checked that before, sorry guys. But what it did was put Liverpool 2 points behind Arsenal, putting pressure on City going into this game, putting pressure on Spurs, putting pressure on everyone else around them, especially people like Villa, especially even people like Newcastle who had good resounding results the other day, and keeps Liverpool well within the mix. It's a proud video today, I think, as I feel that Liverpool are showing the virtues of sticking with a lot of the new systems they've tried to play. You couldn't do this in the same way with a Fabinho. Possibly you could with a Fabinho, but Endo's kind of like playing that role. He also, by the way, adds a lot of stability to this back line in that time. Anyway, the point is Liverpool need to take heed some, if not all, of these warnings. The warnings of, if you don't have Alisson, the game's completely different. Not only because of distribution, though I think Kelleher's distribution is good, but also because of saves. Alisson, I think, today makes some of those saves, but it doesn't mean it's Kelleher's fault. It's just Alisson reads the game differently, possibly directs his back line a little bit differently. The back line possibly act a little bit differently in front of him. It's a different kind of experience, a different kind of goalkeeper. It's not to say that Kelleher lost Liverpool the game. And then on top of that, Liverpool are still lacking a bit of control in that midfield. And I think we lament sometimes Wataru Endo. I think he has a pretty good game very often when he comes on. He's a destroyer, he's a tactical fouler, and he's also someone who is willing to do, as some people say, the doggies in different parts of the field and do what is necessary. And there are some times, and I had this conversation with a friend today on text, where Liverpool aren't willing, they try and score a great goal, a brilliant goal, a flowing flotilla effect goal. And sometimes what you want is just to force the issue. Shaqiri was excellent for that for Liverpool. Origi was excellent with that for Liverpool. There are plenty of players who had that. We've got players who can force the issue within this side. Lots of analysis there. Also just lots of waffle. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Appreciate you. If you haven't already subscribed to the Liverpool channel, where is it? I'll put it in the description. I'm giving away these Liverpool shirts over there. I've not even done a video on the channel yet. We're almost up to 4K. That is how good Liverpool fans are. That is how good we are as a community. Appreciate you a lot. Should I do more on Instagram? It's a big question. Or TikTok. Someone said to me the other day, do a TikTok. And I was like, cool. Anyway, chat to you guys in a little while. Much love. Bye.